Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, a Baxter Professional Services production. Welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show, where we're experts in nursing and experts in business. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. We interview nurse leaders and encourage them to tell their story. Today's guest is Susan Sinclair, and the episode is How One Nurse with a Passion for Writing Made a Career as a Nurse Writer and Editor. Hello, and welcome to the Nurse Shark Academy Show. I'm Tina Baxter, your host. The Nurse Shark Academy Show highlights nurse business owners and others in the healthcare field who promote entrepreneurship. We interview nurse leaders and encourage them to tell their story. Today's guest is Susan Sinclair of Susan Sinclair Writing in Eastern Pennsylvania. Welcome to the show, Susan. Susan's a nurse currently working in home health and clinical trials. She's a writer who provides content to companies as well as individuals. She also helps future authors with book creation. She has experience writing blogs, magazine articles, ghostwriting, and serving as a book editor. She has written for the StayAtHomeNurse.com, DailyNurse.com, National Nurses in Business Association, and Trusted Health. She can be reached at Susan@nursewriter.net. Welcome, Susan, to the show.
Hi, Tina. Thank you so much for having me.
It's great. Now, that was very impressive, and it sounds like you've done a lot of writing, and we'll certainly get into that in a moment.
Mm-hmm.
But the first question I usually ask our guests is, what made you become a nurse?
Oh, gosh. So I really had the thought of becoming a nurse in my mind since I was a little kid. I was pretty sickly as a kid. I was in and out of the hospital. And every time I went into the hospital, it wasn't really that scary for me. It was more kind of like, oh, cool. What are these nurses doing? It was very interesting. And I really just admired the nurses who cared for me. They were smart. They were compassionate. And so that was just always something that stayed in the back of my mind. And then as a teenager, I was a candy striper. And I really enjoyed that. And so that kind of cemented the goal to become a nurse when I was a candy striper.
That's pretty awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I started out as a volunteer as well,
Mm-hmm.
In the nursing home as a volunteer and through church. And so I was always around older adults. And then my mom was in public relations and worked for a developmental home for children with developmental problems. And so we volunteered there too. So
Wow.
wherever my mom was, that's where we volunteered. That's how that usually worked.
There you go.
All right. So where was your first nursing job, out of curiosity?
So it was in the hospital that I candy striped at, and during college I was a nurse's aide. So it was just all in the same hospital. They kept me, and it was on a med-surg floor. And even to this day, I have a soft spot for med-surg.
Okay, so you spent a lot of time in your med-surg. How did you get into home health care and in clinical trials?
Yeah. So I really, I'm willing to try anything, basically, is the short answer. I've really tried to leverage my my nursing degree and my nursing career. And, there's just so many things out there, so many specialties. So like I said, I started in med-surg, and then that turned into me becoming a float nurse. So I did go to the ER and to ICU and, the ortho floor. And then I went into the IV team, which I loved. And this was all at the same hospital. And it's a community hospital. And after IV team, I got into clinical trials through a friend of mine who worked at the same hospital, and she was in the department, and she said, I think you would really like this. So I applied, and I worked there for a little while. And after that, I briefly left the hospital I worked at a company that provided like travel advice, like kind of like insurance based
Ah.
sort of thing.
Mhm.
Um, and after that, I kind of wanted to get back to patient care and get back in the field, and so I applied for a home health position at the hospital I was at before. So it's full circle. I'm back there. But yeah, home health is great. I love it. And my PRN job is clinical trials, so I am still doing that too.
Okay. Okay. And so, just so that some of our listeners who may be interested in either of those fields,
Mhm.
not many nurses know about how they can work in clinical trials. So, can you describe a little bit what you do
Sure.
and what's the nurse's role in that?
Sure. Yeah, clinical trials is a really, I don't know, like underutilized. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's a field that people don't realize they really need nurses. And I draw labs, I give infusions of the study drug, I take vital signs, and then there's just a lot of paperwork as well. That is pretty specific to the trial. So how to get into the field? It's tricky. That's a good question. I had a background in med surge, so I think that helped. And also I had my friend that that kind of helped me out and suggested it. So my suggestion is, do some research, look online. There's lots of postings out there, and just don't be afraid to apply. And we have a lot of transferable skills. I mean, we have a lot of skills that clinical trials use and need.
That
So
sounds great.
yeah.
So, let's back up just a little bit because I always like to hear everyone's background. So, where did you go to school?
So I went to community college. I earned my associates, and as I was earning my associates, I was working as a nurse's aide, like I mentioned.
Hmm.
And really, it was a great setup because I was getting really good experience on the floor, working in the hospital as an aide, and that was really helping me with nursing school. Just seeing a lot of things that someone who doesn't have that background wouldn't see.
Hmm.
So once I graduated with my associates, I worked full time on the med surge floor. And then I just continued to work and I continued to go to school. I was kind of on a roll. So yeah, then I earned my bachelor's from Immaculata University, and again continued to work, and then I decided that well, first of all, I've always loved school, so I was interested in progressing and earning my master's. So I went to Drexel University in Philadelphia,
Hmm.
and a lot of it was online, which was huge. I mean, I was still able to work full time and and go to school. So I earned my master's in nursing education. So I once I earned that, I continued to work on the floors, and then I was a clinical instructor for a while, and I taught community college students and bachelor students.
So that's kind of important because even as um, a nurse in clinical trials, having that master's degree, I bet, was a
Mhm.
little bit of a help
Yes,
because you were used to research and protocols and things like that by that time.
exactly. Yes.
And it helps you to be able to teach the patients about their drugs and their protocol and what they need to do is to have that
Mhm.
background.
Yes, it was a great move. I'm proud of myself for doing it, and I learned so much in the program that I continually use the information that I've learned.
And you had that experience of working with patients previously as working as a CNA,
Right.
and I don't want people to miss that because there was a progression there,
Yes,
and you
absolutely.
started as a CNA, but continue to work and move forward. And that's important. And I commend you. And it's a kind of a similar path that I had as I started as a CNA
Mhm.
and worked up to become an RN with my bachelor's, and then went back to get my master's and postmaster's. So, I mean,
Mhm.
these are things that you can do if you want to.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, there's so many options. If you want to progress, there's ways to do it. I mean, people are working full time and they're going to school and they're making it work. They're doing it. They're getting the degrees and they're yeah, it's great.
But you had a goal.
Yes.
You set your intention. You had an end in mind, and then the skills that you've used that you picked up, you're using in all your different areas right now. Because I can imagine it's also helped you make you a better writer.
Absolutely. And that was one of the things when I was going to school in all the different degrees. I always liked writing the papers. That was always something that I did not dread by any means. I was actually excited to, construct it, to turn it in, to edit it and then turn it in. Um, so I think I just all along I was harvesting a love for writing, and at this point, yeah, I've just kind of taken it to the next level.
So, how did you pivot into your writing career? Because that's a great segue right there.
So I got into freelance nurse writing through Janine Kelback. She has a program, the Savvy Scribe, and I just really literally stumbled upon it one day. I think I might have been on like nurse.com, or I was on one of the, nursing
Mhm.
sites. And I saw an ad for, for nurse writers, and I thought, what is that? I had no idea. And so, I enrolled in her course, and I really just learned about this whole other field that is super flexible. And that's how I sort of got my feet wet. It really just started out as a hobby, as a little side income that I would make every month or every other month. And she does help people who are in her course. She helps them with building their portfolio and, with submitting pieces to publishers and sites. So, yeah, it was a great course.
Okay, great. So, how would someone who's interested in writing, how would they break into that field? I mean,
Sure.
obviously they could take her course, but
Right.
um, and there's other courses out there. But how
Mhm.
would someone, if they wanted to write their first piece, how would they even know what to submit to a publisher?
Yeah, so that's a great question. There's a couple of different ways they could approach this. Of course, the first is you could find a course and someone will guide you, step by step. Another way is you can go on different sites, nurse.com, different professional nursing magazines, just go on their websites. A lot of them will just ask for content. They'll ask for blog submissions, or they'll ask for an article idea, and you can connect to them through that and write a piece and submit it, and see if they'll accept you. I kind of am more partial to taking a class, because you're going to learn a lot, and there is a
Yes.
lot to learn. Obviously it's a new niche. um, but those are like the two ways that you could approach it.
Okay. Okay. And so you said also in your bio that you've done some ghost writing and serving as a book editor. How did that come about?
Yeah, so I have ghostwritten, and what that's entailed is I got connected with Trusted Health. I guess I can say their name. And so I have written different like marketing things for them. Now, my name's not attached to it, obviously, because it's a ghost, I'm a ghostwriter.
Hmm.
But they're like a travel site, like for travel nurses. So basically they're like a match.com for travel nurses.
Hmm.
So they can find like their ideal job. And so I provided a lot of content for them, advertising like their different there are different specialties that are available for travel nurses, and different states that that are friendly for towards travel nurses. So that was the ghostwriting piece, and the other piece, as a book editor, I'm currently helping a colleague create and edit her book, and it's Lori Brown, and she's creating a book to market her services, and it's been great. It's really like a whole other process besides obviously the writing process.
Right.
And so it's just a different mindset that you go into it when you're editing. But yeah, and with my business, that's the focus, is that I want to help nurses create books and write articles and get their message out there, because we have a lot nurses have a lot to say, and
Yes.
rightfully
Yes.
so.
So my other question is, when are you going to write your book?
Good question. Well, that's my question for all the listeners. When are they going to write their book? But yeah, that date is to be determined.
Okay. I just thought I'd put that plug in there.
Love it. Yeah.
Okay. All right. And so, when you're helping, it could be any type of book, fiction, nonfiction. Are you specific about your genre?
So the genre is nonfiction. So yeah, I want to help nurses and entrepreneurs. They don't have to be nurses, but entrepreneurs that want to spread the message about their business, about what worked for them in their business, and then certainly, of course, nurses. I want to support and help them. And for some people, writing is intimidating. Some people do not like writing, and some people just don't have time to write. So those are the two, big factors that I want to help with, and I want to make it easy, and I do make it easy for people to write and get their book out and get their book done.
Now, do you also help with the publishing aspect?
So I can guide them to ebooks, to e-publishers, and there's a lot out there. There's tons of companies. Amazon is, I guess, the biggest, the one that everybody knows. But there's other companies out there that will give you a quick turnaround on your book, and an ebook is very accessible for people. So that also adds to the appeal that you can write this, or I can write it for you if you want. And, like in 90 days, you can have a book out there that will help, raise your credibility and help your business and help tell your story.
Sounds great. Sounds wonderful. Okay, so if we had a budding entrepreneur out there, or a nurse is just dying to tell her story and write her story,
Yeah.
how would they contact you?
So I have a website. It's HTTP, it's colon / nursewriter.net. So it's all one word, nursewriter.net. You can also check me out on LinkedIn, Susan Sinclair Writing, and same with Facebook, Susan Sinclair Writing, and it's all one word. And of course, you can always feel free to email me. And I'm at susan@nursewriter.net, all one word.
Right. And I understand you do have a promotion for us. You offered a discount on the book manuscript services for the first three people who contact you.
Yes, that's right. So the first three people who email me or contact me on, one of the social outlets, I can give you a really deep discount and help you write your book within 90 days. So
Awesome.
definitely worth asking. Yeah.
That's wonderful.
Mhm.
So we're with Susan Sinclair, and she's from nursewriter.net and her business. You can always contact her there. Look her up on Facebook or LinkedIn as well. And did you have any advice? Last question. Any advice for someone who just wants to get started in their nurse-owned business? What would your piece of advice be?
Sure. Great question. So my piece of advice would be to find a coach And the reason is you don't know what you don't know. And really, for me, that has been huge in really getting me to be focused, getting me to be accountable. For a couple years, like I said, I had freelance writing, and it was more of a hobby. And once I found a coach who is also a nurse, she's really held me accountable, and I really have a much clearer set of goals that that I'm reaching, that I'm achieving. So yeah, definitely consider a coach in your business endeavors.
All right. Well, you heard it here, folks. Get yourself a coach. And I want to thank you for coming on to the Nurse Shark Academy show and just sharing your wisdom with us. We definitely, as nurses, have a story to tell. And it's one of the reasons why I have this podcast, because I want other nurses to hear about the wonderful things that you are doing as well. So thanks again for coming.
Thank you so much, Tina. It's been a pleasure.
Well, that ends our show for today. Thank you for tuning in to the Nurse Shark Academy show. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Also, find us on Podbean or any other place where you get your podcasts, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify. And don't forget to leave us a comment and give us a great rating. Thank you for joining us. Bye-bye for now.
Bye.
Attention nurses, looking to take your nursing knowledge and turn it into a viable business? Ready to take action but don't know where to start? Join the Nurse Shark Academy. We support nurses as business owners and leaders. We offer career and entrepreneurial coaching for nurses or other healthcare professionals. Whether you're a brand new nurse, a seasoned health professional, or building a startup, join a community of support. Entrepreneurship can be lonely, but it doesn't have to be. Our career and business coaching services are designed to help you achieve the life-work balance you desire. Our experienced coaches will help you identify and attain your career and business goals, enabling you to become more successful in both your personal and professional life. I'm Tina Baxter. I founded the Nurse Shark Academy because I believe every nurse is a hero on his or her own epic journey. Nurses are launching new businesses every day. You don't have to do it alone. Join the Nurse Shark Academy and get the support, training, and coaching that you need to launch your successful nurse business. Become a member at the nursesharkacademy.biz. Thank you for listening to the Nurse Shark Academy show wherever you get your podcasts or watching us on YouTube. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell so that you'll know when all of our episodes come out. If you want further information, you can contact us on the nursesharkacademy.biz.